is going on, all you lovely people? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Mike O'Hora, and this is a lovely penguin. Welcome back, guys. We are doing the set breakdown today for Dreamcatcher's debut music video, which was Chase Me. It was themed off of The Shining. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying what I see. I didn't actually look it up, so I'm pretty sure it's based off The Shining. But regardless, it's a really cool music video, and we're going to talk about some of the things I noticed in this music video. So come along for the ride. Let's go. Oh, also sub to the channel. Why not? Are you a goose? No, you're a person. Sub. All right, so right off the bat, we are put into this hallway, which we will be seeing a lot of this hallway in the music video. And for the most part, you guys are probably thinking like, oh, it's just a hallway. What's so interesting about that? Well, it's the fact that they made it look so aged is what gets me the most. So there's a few different things. So obviously these are two what we call flats that have multiple doors put into them. They're put together. Usually a flat will come at a size range of about 8 feet by 8 feet, and that's because when you go to like Home Depot or something and you get what just like a board, that like a flat board that you'd put on to make like the wall, they're usually 8x4s. So you put two of those together with a frame built around it, and then that would make a wall, and then you connect them together and you make bigger walls, making a hallway. You also can cut holes in them, put a door frame into it as well, so you can have working doors in them. These doors actually open. We got to see that in the behind the scenes video. Plus there's going to be a few shots where they actually go into rooms. But for the most part, most of this stuff is just prop things. The light fixtures and whatnot, those are all props. It's cool though because they do drill holes and stuff for the wires to go through so that the lighting team can get to the light fixtures and actually put lights into them and make sure they light up and they're the right brightness that they need to be for the video so that it looks right. As well as they made a ceiling piece here as well, which they put the light fixtures up on top that they're actually hanging down as well. And it's working with the lighting team to make holes and stuff so that they can run wires through and make sure that everything's working. Now, that's not the interesting thing about this. It's like I said, it's the texturing that they do here. So if you look at the walls, you can see they're clearly very textured. Right? They're not just a regular flat wall with paint on it. Same thing kind of goes for the doors here as well. But I think they did it differently. Now with these flat pieces, forgive me, I don't remember exactly what the material is called. There's this stuff that you can buy. I believe it's called texture spray. I don't remember exactly what it's called off the top of my head. I've only ever had to use it once so far, and that was because we were putting a wall into a house that already existed to make a room a different shape than it originally was. They needed it to be a smaller room than the actual room, so we had to make walls to look like the walls that were already there, and they had textured walls. So what we did was we got this texture spray. You spray it onto the wall before you paint it, and it kind of bubbles in a way and clumps on it so that it gives that sort of textured look that you'd get on a wall such as this. So then once you let it sit, you let it dry. It usually takes like an hour or two to dry. If you're in a hotter place, it'll dry quicker. Obviously, if you're in a colder place, it'll dry a little bit slower. But yeah, you just spray it on there, and then once it's sprayed on, then you paint over it, and that will give you that textured wall look. And I believe that's what they did for these walls here, because you can actually see that there's certain areas that are more textured than others. It gets a little smooth towards the tops here, and then even towards the bottoms, there's also a bit of smoothness there as well. So I think they actually put the walls up, then decided we need to make some texture, sprayed the stuff on, and then repainted it while it was up already. So that's an interesting piece to start with. And then the doors are another interesting piece here as well, because I'm pretty sure they rented the doors. And if I was a betting man, I'd say these doors have already been painted multiple times because they're rentals. So sometimes paint will strip and it'll make different indents in the paint. You can kind of see it right here a little bit where somebody just, instead of fixing the paint by sanding it down and smoothing it out, or adding in some sort of a compound in order to flatten it out so that there's no crevice or crack or clear indentations, they just painted over it. And I think that's what they did to make it look like an older door as well. And it definitely adds that little bit of like texture, the crunch to the door as well. So it's not like a clean thing. It's kind of a dirty look. Now, the flooring is another thing that kind of throws me off here, because I'm not 100% sure how you'd go about doing this, because these are floors that clearly look like they've been walked on quite a bit. So if I was to take a guess, I would say that they got this flooring based on it being used a lot, so that it looks like it's used a lot. It's normal when like you're renting out carpet and stuff like that, you're going to want newer stuff, but sometimes companies will hold on to older things for kind of like horror films or time period pieces or whatever, so that they look a little bit more worn. They don't look clean, they look older. And I bet that's what they did for this music video, is that they rented out carpet that's already pre-worn down. But still, because of that, it makes this hallway way more interesting to look at, for sure. And it definitely gives that kind of like scary, kind of creepy vibe. So this door that he's actually stepped up to, this is the hallway again, just looking the other way. This door has exactly what I'm talking about. It has that kind of texture where you can kind of see like paint globs and all that kind of stuff that they just painted over. It adds to that kind of texture. This room, we also are going to be seeing a lot of. This is like the second main area that we're going to be seeing in this music video. They come back to this room a whole bunch. And it's another one that, honestly, I'm going to show you guys some from the behind the scenes video. So when you look at it from the behind the scenes video, you can actually see it's really not as dark of a room as you think. They kind of put on different like filters, or the way that they light it makes it look darker in order for it to get that kind of horror-esque feel to it. But in the background, they have wood paneling that they put up on the top here. And then the bottom half is just like this regular boards that they just put strips of wood on to add that kind of texture. I forgot what that's actually called. There's a construction term for it, and I don't ever have to say it, so I don't remember it. But they have it everywhere. They like, I want to say it's trim, but it's not trim. They had it in the hallway as well. But for when you're on set and stuff, it's just they have the regular background of the wood. They just painted it black, and then they cut out those pieces and added them to the wall, painted those as well. So it's actually easier to do the bottom half than it is the top half, even though those top pieces are most likely panels of wood, where they're not actually all boards themselves. They're just these big panels where the way that they're constructed to begin with is to make it look like it's wood panels right next to each other, but it's all one big piece. Like I said, you buy them in panels of usually 8 feet by 4 feet, and then you put them all together and you line them up, and then they look like you have a whole bunch of slats of wood, which is easy enough. And then on top of it too, they got tons of different art pieces and stuff that you'll see around. Those are all rentals. They're easy to rent. A lot of the times when you rent a picture, you're typically renting out the frame, and then you can put whatever image inside of it. You can also kind of see from here as well, they don't put the glass in the picture frames as well, because the glass will commonly make different glares from the lights and stuff. It makes things a lot harder to film. So in most things that you're watching, unless there's supposed to be glass that will like break or something for the shot, typically the glass will be completely taken out of, especially windows and stuff too. Like these windows back here most likely have nothing in them. They're completely empty. And then also it's nice, they have a little chandelier there as well that you can rent out from a prop house. But yeah, this room is really cool. We definitely see it quite a bit throughout this music video. Oh, same thing goes for the flooring. There's definitely a flooring company that comes in and sets that up for the shoot as well. Normally that doesn't fall on the art department all that often, But for floors like this, usually you call up a rental company. They are the ones that will install carpet. They'll install these wood floors. A lot of the times they're vinyl flooring and they just have images to look like they are wood. Sometimes they'll even texture it as well, so it actually looks a little bit more like wood. But the more texture and all that kind of stuff added, it will be more money. And then they take it, they roll it out, they stick it to the floor, and it looks like a wood floor. But yeah, for the most part, there really isn't all that much going on set-wise. There's a lot of hopping back and forth between different sets. Between 2 or 3 sets, really. So this is the third one, where it's inside of one of their rooms. Or it could even be off to the side in that main room that we were looking at. But for the most part, this is another simple add-in where they added in this like kind of couch lounge type chair seat thing. I always forget what these are called, to be honest. I know that's bad, but when we work with them on sets, I usually just call it a couch. Everybody knows what we're talking about when we're on there. They have names for it in particular. I don't remember. And then on top of it, you just get a bunch of candles. Easy enough. If they did buy these candles brand new, which they probably did, they had to actually burn them for a while in order to make them look like they do now. So for these taller candles that are on the candle stand, they probably cut them midway down the candle, because those candles are typically pretty long. Probably cut it down and then melted it. So like probably cut it in half and then melted that in half by just lighting it up and keeping them on fire and just letting them sit for a while so that they'd melt and give you that awesome melted candle look, you know. So yeah, actually in this shot here, you can see that couch is right against the wall here. So like I said, it was actually in this room that they do it. They just added the candles around, which is nice. It's great. It's a perspective change. Then there's also going to be a shot that's going to be on the right side here where they pull. I don't actually see the table there, so I think they add in the table. But as you can see, the shot's really dark, but she's seated up on a table here, which I'm pretty sure they just added in for the shot that wasn't there in that last one. But they added in a few bits of furniture and stuff to kind of make it look like a more lived-in room rather than the big empty room that they're dancing in. And another cool little touch here as well is they put a light behind this chair here in the back, and they have some like dead sticks, tree type of plant thing in the back there that adds to the shadow coming out of that light. Cool little feature. But for the most part, it's all from the same room. And yeah, looks great. So this one is another interesting spot. This is where the gentleman here, the main man in the video, the one who's being tormented, the one whose dreams they keep getting into, and he's chasing after them, trying to figure out who these girls are. This is him in his hotel room, you know. Easy enough setup. These ones do not have textured walls. They're just painted blue, which is nice. Everything else here is rented and put into place. However, another interesting thing too is they actually have glass in these windows here, which not really sure why, but they do. They do have glass in them. It's just funny. I just noticed it because I mentioned it earlier. I'm like, oh, this one actually has glass on it. And it's also weird too because there's some sticker up top here that I don't know if they just didn't remember to take that off or if that's supposed to be there, but it doesn't really play a part in the video. But yeah, they also do a cool little effect in here as well that I want to show you guys, if I can find it. Here's just another angle of the bedroom as well. They got the wood floors in here. Like I said, it's just flat white blue walls in the back. They added in a bunch of furniture that you'd rent out at a prop house. They also got a nice little TV, which is supposed to be kind of like security cameras. And I think this is him realizing he's like losing his mind a bit too. So this here, before I can find that other shot, I'm having a little bit of a tough time seeing it. But this is another cool little trick that they do in the video here, which is, you see her, she's obviously leaned over onto this pillow and it's floating, right? This is a cool little trick. They actually kind of show a little bit of it in the behind the scenes where that pillow is actually seated up onto what we call a C-stand, and they've made a little platform for her to put the pillow on top of. And then what they will do is they'll take a shot of her in the hallway with the pillow on top of this thing, and they will have her lay there for like however long that they do the shot. Then they do another shot. I'm forgetting what it's called. Usually it's like a plate, I think is what they call it, like a clean plate or something. I don't remember the actual word. This is more of like an editor's type of lingo. But they'll completely clear her and the stand out of the shot, so it's just the hallway with the same exact lighting. Nothing's really changed besides her, and everything that was touching her is gone, so that they can then go back and they can clean out the part where you can see the C stand that she'd be standing on, and they use that clean slate as the background. So when they clean it off, it just shows the normal hallway background. So it's a cool little thing, cool little edit that they do in the video here as well. So they do this little like security camera shot, which I personally love. I think it looks awesome. And what I believe that they did was that they have some sort of a fishing wire, a very thin wire, going onto the bottom book of this 3 stack of books, right? Where there's going to be an art person, most likely somewhere down below the frame, who's going to pull it just light enough that the books fall off of the shelf. Like that. Simple thing, but it's something that's really cool. And then what they'll do is they'll do the same kind of thing that they do with the girl with the pillow in the hallway, but this one is actually more of a practical effect. So they actually pull it and then the whole thing falls. And it's something that they do pretty regularly, and then the editors can go in and just kind of clean up the line so you don't actually see the line in there anymore. And yeah, it's a quick little shot, but it's a nice little fun little trick. I will be doing a video on Zach King relatively soon where I'm going to show you a couple things that I've done for him, but we've done similar things. So this is another one of those fun little shots. It's in that big room again, but this time we got the girls all here. They're masked up except for our girl who's in the middle here. I think her name's Nami, if I remember correctly. She's the rapper. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure this is a rapping part of the song. But it's another simple one. They actually reuse a lot of the candles and stuff from earlier shots. Actually, if anything, these are candles that they used, and then they used them again for those earlier shots, because these ones are higher up on their totems or their candle stand. They're not as burnt down yet, so most likely they ended up doing this shot before those other ones and then use these candles for that, which would make a lot of sense. But yeah, there's tons of candles, and then you can rent out these kind of like viney olive branch-ish leaves. Relatively simple. They got a couple flowers around here as well as this book. And there's also a mirror down here. All that stuff is props. You can rent it. It's relatively easy to get, but it adds to that creepiness that they have going on in terms of this is a music video about like a haunted hotel type of a thing that they got going. So last thing we'll talk about is this very last room that they come into as well. I'm pretty sure this is actually the same room as the blue room. Actually, you can tell this is actually the same room as the blue room, which is very funny. I can tell because of the way that they do the corner here. It has that like kind of weird like out in thing going on as well. And so they actually reuse the same set, which not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. You know, they moved the bed out. They put on a bench. They put in this chair, which has actually been in one of the other shots as well. And then they loaded up a bunch of different picture frames up and around the windows as well. So most likely what they did was they did this shot last just because they did use a wallpaper. So they most likely just covered up the blue with the wallpaper to finish out this shot. They put different curtains up to cover up the windows to make it look different enough. And then they zoom in and it's all these kind of like oldish photos of the girls where it makes it look like they have been dead for a long time at this point. And yeah, it just adds to a little bit of extraness here. And then on top of it, though, they use this room as well for this interesting little like throwback video of them before being dead, I assume. And they laid it differently to make it look a little bit more bright, a little bit more full, a little bit more alive, if you would. And they're having a pillow fight, and they actually have pillows with down in them. So like a down comforter is something that has these small little feathers in it. That's what down is. And yeah, they just ripped one or two of those pillows, so as the girls are hitting each other with it, there's just small holes in it, just enough to get stuff to come out. And then I wouldn't be surprised if they had somebody up above them as well, kind of throwing down over the top to kind of give it that more full room, like the whole shot's coated in down, you know what I mean? It's all floating around. But then they put it in slow motion. It looks really cool and fun. But yeah, that's about it. So that will do it for this shot here today, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool, I'd say. A really, really awesome music video, a great song. I really enjoyed it. I think Dreamcatcher is so awesome. I think, like, seriously, they really crush it. I love the whole kind of like pop punk, K-pop vibe that they have going on, which is pretty cool. And I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this whole series. So, guys, if you get a chance, please sub to the channel so we can keep growing. And then if you would like, we got all the social medias and the links down below, as well as a Twitch and a Discord as well, where you can get in touch with us, hang out, enjoy being around me if you want, and being around other people who enjoy this kind of stuff too. So, yeah, I love you. Stay aggressively positive. Have a great week. Bye. I don't know why I winked and kissed. That was weird. Bye.